How can we trust God when things seem impossible? First off, what's up? Good to see you. And then second, I feel like this is a question that a lot of us have faced in our lifetime, and it's a difficult one. Maybe you've gone through a rough relationship, or maybe you're facing a tough exam, or you're just waiting for God to answer a certain prayer. And I just want to let you know that, these moments can feel super overwhelming. And you're not alone. To be very honest, actually writing this message felt overwhelming and impossible for me. Because I've never done stuff like this. I've never done something so consistently, especially like writing a message. And so I decided to go to the Bible because it's something that calms me down. And I ran across this story in Mark 9 that shed some light on this issue of how to trust God when things seem impossible. Now, in this story, there's a father who has a son that's possessed by evil spirits, and it causes a son to have many seizures. In Mark 9:17, it goes on to say this: "Teacher, I brought my mute son, made speechless by a demon, to you. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, grinds his teeth, and goes stiff as a board. I told your disciples, hoping they could deliver him, but they couldn't." Later on in the chapter, the father asks Jesus to heal his son, but he isn't sure that he can do it. So Jesus asks the boy's father, "How long has this been going on for?" The father replies, "Ever since he was a little boy. Many times it pitches him into the fire or the river to do away with him. If you can do anything, do it. Have a heart and help us." Now, I want you guys to take a moment and imagine this story. Like, this actually happened. There is a boy and a father, and this son is constantly jumping into the river or jumping into the fire, not by his own will, but because his evil spirit is tormenting him. And this father, who so desperately loves him, is willing to get wet, is willing to jump into the fire and get burned, and has to cautiously look around just so his boy doesn't finally get thrown to the ground, because this boy is probably filled with scars and wounds and bruises. I can't imagine the disparity that this father is experiencing as he brings his boy to Jesus. I mean, this father can't even speak to his son because the spirit makes his son mute. I mean, if you're talking about impossible situations, this is one of them. Have you ever felt like you're in an impossible situation like that? That to a certain point when you're talking to God, you're asking him for help, but the thing seems so impossible. The scenario seems so difficult that you're just saying, if you can do anything, do it. Have a heart and help us. It's okay that you're experiencing this. We've all gone through it. Every Christian has a certain level of genuine faith, but it's not always going to be the same. Sometimes it grows stronger, sometimes it gets weaker, but that's just part of the journey. Can I let you know that, dude, I've had moments in my walk of life with Jesus where I felt like I've had faith this small, but I've been able to see God do so much with this much faith. And it's totally okay to feel like you have nothing, because it's part of the journey of life. It's part of our faith walk. Later on in the story, Jesus tells the father, "What do you mean if I can? Anything is possible if a person believes." The father instantly cried out, "I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief." And I want you to imagine this, like the words the father cried out. Just think of all the past hurt, all the pain, this long waiting season. And he's just there like, "God, I believe, but just help me with my doubt. Help me with my unbelief." I can't imagine the amount of pain that you could hear in his voice when he's talking to Jesus. And I think that Jesus wants us to bring that to him when we go through moments like this. So what can we do when we're struggling to trust in God? Well, one of the ways is just turning to Jesus, just like the father did in Mark 9. He brought his son to Jesus. And I know that it's not always easy to do something like this, especially in moments where things seem impossible, where doing the impossible seems impossible because you're in the impossible. But can I remind you that during these moments, during these excruciating, painful situations, you have an opportunity to grow in your faith, to know God's intimate heart for you. The Bible is full of true stories and promises that remind us of God's power and faithfulness. When we read these stories, we're reminded that he pulled through for people that were normal, just like you and me. And so when we read these things, when we listen to online sermons, or listening to a podcast, or singing a worship song, or just reading the Bible, When we go through these things, we're given the opportunity to strengthen our faith, to have a whole new perspective on Jesus. And it's a good one, a beautiful one that enables us to walk in faith and to trust Him. Is your faith weak? That's okay. Are you starting your faith walk all over again? That's okay. Do you feel like you've been stuck in this relationship and you haven't heard Jesus for a while? That's okay. Ask Him to speak to you. Read your Bible. I suggest even reading the book of Matthew if you need to start somewhere. But I want to let you know that these moments are real, and that's okay if you feel weak in your faith. These are perfect opportunities for us to ask Jesus to strengthen our faith. Dude, I have a tattoo on the back of my arm. It's Isaiah 40:31. It says, "For those who wait in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." Do you feel like you've been waiting? Don't worry. New strength is coming. If you're feeling shaky in your faith like the boy's father and you're freaking out, don't freak out, because God's not freaking out. He's not down there being like, "Oh my gosh, last week your faith was so big and all of a sudden you're struggling in your faith today." No, I can't talk to you. I can't even see you right now. Can I let you know that's not how our Father is? That's not how God is. No matter what level of faith we have, God will always be faithful to us. I don't know why I'm moving so much. I guess I'm just passionate. Again, He's a good dad. Tell Him you're shaky in your faith. Tell Him you're struggling. Tell Him that you need more faith. He's not afraid of these conversations, and He's not surprised about these conversations because He loves you. When we feel like we don't have enough faith, I want to remind you that He's faithful because He loves you. Do you know what happened at the end of the story? Jesus commanded the evil spirit to leave the boy's body. And it left him in a convulsion. It left the boy in a convulsion. And that convulsion was so violent that the people around him, after the spirit left, thought that the boy was dead. People looked at him and thought that he was lifeless. But Jesus took him at the hand and helped him up at his feet. You know what this story can teach us? Is that when things seem lifeless and hopeless, Jesus is there to give us hope. Jesus is there to tell us that when things seem impossible, with God, anything is possible. So don't give up. Keep on trusting and believing in God that He'll show up. Keep on bringing your problems to Him, just like the Father did. If you're feeling hopeless, ask Him to speak to you, whether it's through a prayer, whether it's through the Bible, whether it's through a worship song, whatever it is. Keep on having hope and ask Him to give you strength, because He's a loving Father and He wants to give it to you. Our God is a good Father who brings new life even to the most dead, even to the most impossible and hopeless of situations, because that's who He is. And I believe He wants to do that for you. So with that being said, I love you. I'll see you soon, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.